obviously these are really lucrative deals, but you do touch on a flip side here, and you're reporting that he has missed out on $1 million paydays and even $1 billion paydays. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, it's crazy to think, we're talking about Magic Johnson as this savvy businessman, but you don't get every deal right. And the biggest potential paydays of his entire career are ones that he missed out on. Most famously, when he was coming out of the draft in 1979, he was offered by Nike a similar deal to what Michael Jordan got a few years later, and honestly an even better deal because this time Nike had 5 years less growth, 5 years smaller of a company, so a deal that included lots of stock and even royalties on the shoes that he would sell. Again, a deal that made Michael Jordan very, very rich. And at the time, Magic Johnson turned it down. It was a risky deal. He decided to take guaranteed money from Converse, but he took about $100,000 a year, and he could have gotten, who knows, several $1 billion worth of money from Nike over the years. And so that's a huge one. Also, he was kind of given a sweetheart deal to own a small piece of the Lakers because he was really good friends with Dr. Jerry Buss, who was the owner. So he bought a 4.5% stake for $10 million when he retired. And that stake today is worth $265 million. But he sold it in 2010 for somewhere between 30 and 50 million. So that was again a decision that at the time probably seemed savvy, but has turned out to be pretty unfortunate. And right around that same time, just to give you a third example, in 2010 he was given a chance to buy into the Golden State Warriors franchise, and that franchise has gone up 15 times in value since 2010. So whatever his investment would have been if they'd worked that out. He was working with Peter Guber, who again he had a relationship with before. Had he bought into the team then, his value would have gone up 15 times. So yeah, they're not all wins, but he's strung enough together to build a portfolio up to about $1.5 billion.
Yeah, I just physically winced at some of those losses there, but I don't really feel too bad for Magic Johnson. Sure. He is a billionaire now. He's crossed that threshold. So what makes up his portfolio?
Yeah, so the biggest piece of his portfolio is Equitrust, life insurance. I think that, you could try to paint a straight line picture between, in 1990 he comes out HIV positive, and a lot of people thought at the time it was a death sentence. So it's very poetic to think, oh, here's a guy who now owns a life insurance company. But the people I talked to said that this is a guy that will invest in any business that he thinks is going to make him money. And he's somewhat agnostic about it. So I don't know that it's necessarily as fundamental as that. But in 2015, he bought a 60% stake of a life insurance company that it makes up the majority of his portfolio. However, he does own pieces of lots of sports teams. This was his dream. Like when he started his career, he said, I want to own a sports team. He's not a majority owner, but he now owns pieces of the Los Angeles Dodgers, LAFC, an MLS team, Los Angeles Sparks, a WNBA team, and most recently, the Washington Commanders. He owns a very small stake, 4%, but the way the NFL valuations have grown over recent years, that is still a considerable piece of his portfolio.
It's good investment after good investment, minus those few hiccups early on. But when you're looking at Magic Johnson, athlete turned businessman, what stands out to you the most because you cover these people all the time, athlete turned entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just impressed with the way that he grew his wealth, and he had to do it in the similar way that other businessmen would have to do it. Now, obviously, he had the advantage of being Magic Johnson, one of the most recognizable people in the world, very famous person, someone who everyone wants to be in a meeting with. However, he had to make several smart deals along the way, and he had to get his deals right several times. It's not just like he made one great investment. A lot of the billionaires on our Forbes list, they start a company, it was the right idea at the right time, the company takes off, and now they're a billionaire for writing that company. He's had to make several correct bets in order to grow his wealth periodically over time, and everyone tells me, he's a serial entrepreneur. He's always looking for new deals and smart deals. And so I think I respect that. He's not someone that got $100 million paychecks the way a lot of athletes do today.
Well, Matt, Craig, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate the reporting.